Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining our Trailblazers webinar today. My name is Sheryl O'Connor, CEO and co-founder of IncomeConductor, an award-winning retirement income planning technology that engages your clients in the planning process and delivers income certainty, not probability. Our Trailblazer series highlights the people in our industry who are forging new paths and developing new ways to achieve success while providing great outcomes for clients. We welcome your questions, so please type them into the Q&A box at any time during the webinar, and we'll try to address them all at the end. So it's my pleasure to welcome our Trailblazer today, Lori Hardwick, one of the leading voices in financial services. Lori serves on the Strategic Advisory Board for GenStar Capital and as chairman of the board for DocuPace. She also serves on the boards of directors for Cetera, Orion, Vestwell, and Cerity Financial. In 2017, Lori created and co-founded Advisor Innovation Labs, AI Labs, a fintech company focused on building elegant systems of engagement via a unified dashboard for financial advisors. Prior to founding AI Labs, Lori served as the Chief Operating Officer for Pershing, sharing leadership responsibilities with the CEO for managing the Pershing family of companies. For the majority of Lori's career, and probably this is where you're best known, she was a co-founder and group president of advisory services for Envestnet. She also helped take the company public during her 16-year tenure at that firm. Lori's been recognized with multiple awards over the years for her contributions to our industry, including Think Advisor's Top Women in Wealth Tech and Investment Advisor's list of the 25 most influential people in the financial industry. Welcome, Lori. It's such a pleasure to have you as my Trailblazer guest.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheryl. I'm looking forward to our conversation today for sure. Thanks.
Oh, I am as well. And as we mentioned before when we were talking, I think the first time I talked with you directly was when you gave me a demo back in 2018
Yep,
of your AI Labs advisor platform. So
that's
that's
right.
great.
Yeah.
So I like to start out with our Trailblazer guests sharing kind of the why behind their journey. You seem to have moved pretty seamlessly between the business and the technology sides of our industry. What was your journey like? Was it intentional? Was it,
Yeah. No, unfortunately not intentional. I would love to say I had some master plan that just came together perfectly, but absolutely not. But I always was pretty intentional about the why. I started as a wholesaler back at Nuveen, pretty much right out of school, and I loved financial advisors and what they did. I really felt their job, their mission was just so important for people to be able to reach their financial goals and live with and retire with dignity. So that became the why very early on in my career. And the tech side just kind of came with it, to be honest. As I left to help Judd and Bill and Brandon and Jim build InvestNet and found InvestNet. The tech and the business were kind of one. It was intertwined. The platform was the business, and
Mhm.
so that really became the case even now that I'm on boards. Vestwell, Orion, DocuPace. I mean that tech is really the business. And so I have been very lucky in the fact I consider myself lucky that I was able to kind of follow my heart by helping advisors and their clients. And the way that I found was easiest to do that is to give those advisors really great technology that works. That's and where they can serve more clients effectively. And I just happened to hit it right on the head from a timing perspective.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm interested in the view of technology that you have. Can you expound on that? You said, technology should be something that expands the horizons of the advisor, the client experience. What were
Mhm.
your goals there?
Yeah, so Cheryl, anyone who knows me knows that I am wired for growth. I love to grow companies. And you can look way back and even more recently on the boards I'm on, I really love to help companies grow
Mhm.
and help advisors grow. And the way that I see that is helping advisors and companies scale and build technology around them that actually builds capacity in their day. And at an enterprise level, you look at a Cetera or Cerity Partners, you know, they're growing at a clip that they never have before. And so finding ways that they have the talent around them, the tech around them, and also the advisors around them, quite frankly, to
Mhm.
really help them scale and hit those goals and targets that are necessary, honestly, to really compete in today's environment.
Yeah, so our conversation is titled a board director's perspective.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Your first board position was with Briscoe.
Yes.
First as a member in 2018, and then you were elevated to chairman just a year later.
Yeah.
Since then, you served on many boards for leading
Mhm.
companies like Cetera. What advice would you give company founders and executives
Mhm.
about how to work more effectively with their board and their board chair?
It's a really great question. I'm so glad you're asking me this. First of all, I would say the board meetings are not for discovery. Uh, all the discovery should be happening between the meetings. And, so for example, I have kind of a no surprises rule. There should not be something that takes the CEO by surprise, and there really shouldn't be something from a bad news perspective that takes the board members by surprise.
Hmm.
All of that should be happening in between the meetings. I actually have a story I can share with you. I'm just thinking of it. During COVID, and COVID, when we thought the wheels were falling off the wagon, no one knew how that was all going to turn out. But I was on a board and they wanted to meet in person. And so we all travel in and we're in the masks and we're, like we're sitting 6 feet away. I mean, it was, it was a scary time. And so I was chairman of this board and I said, at the beginning of the meeting, I just kind of out of care, I said, was it really that important that we meet in person for this meeting? And honestly, it threw the whole meeting off. The CEO never really got his footing again. Um, and I really regretted it. And I learned from it. I mean, from now on, I know I'm going to talk to the CEO ahead of time. I'm going to talk to the other directors ahead of time. I think about when I look at the deck, as chair in particular, I need to really protect, I'll use loosely, but the CEO from anything that could be a real surprise. He needs to be aware, she needs to be aware of how to respond and what questions could come up. So I really take it upon myself as chairman to make sure that I'm talking with those directors, finding out what's on their mind, and encouraging my CEO to really interact with their board in between the meetings. And that's where the real value and discovery can come along. And then your
Mhm.
meetings are really about alignment and discussion of those particular items. But yeah, the no surprises rule should definitely run both way. And I've been on boards where board members feel like it's their job to come in and ask the hard questions and then just leave. And
Yeah.
that's really not a good board member, in my opinion. The really good ones are leaning in and want to be able to help. And actually, I really regret, this is another regret as I'm talking, the is that, at InvestNet and at Pershing and AI Labs, I certainly had boards and I wasn't utilizing them effectively. I really regret the fact that I wasn't utilizing them for their pattern recognition. They had been operators in the business. And, I'd go in and I'd do my readout and report. And I thought it was a great board meeting if I didn't get a lot of questions. I just wanted it to be like, you're doing great, Lori. And that's not really, that's not the point of a board. I think that many, frequently the management teams feel that the questions are either mired in criticism or mistrust of what they're doing. And it's
Mhm.
absolutely not that. It should be we're all on the same team. We all are looking for a really successful exit. And how are we going to get there together? And, I have found that if now I have great relationships with the CEOs and management teams of the boards I'm on, and they do call me for advice, and I love it when they do. I feel more impactful, and I like that they really respect my opinion and want my advice.
No, that's great advice. So, how far in advance do you like to get the board package and
That's a good
kind of
question.
prepare for
Yeah.
what's on tap there?
Well, I think it's a great question. The most of the boards will get their package out Friday before the meeting. And that meeting could be on Monday, it could be on Friday the following week. But you always, in my opinion, you should always give the directors at least the weekend to get through it because you don't
Hmm.
know what else is going on in their schedule during the work week.
Hmm.
So my rule is kind of like it doesn't have to be a full week in advance, but as long as there's a weekend in there to give the directors a chance to get through it, it's important now. It's a lot of people are utilizing AI to go through the board deck, and I don't like that. I have to say I'm really old school that way. I mean, I think it's fine if you want a summary and the information is kept secure in some kind of enterprise level AI
Hmm.
tool. But I really enjoy going through it myself. I like to find the areas for which the maybe the team hadn't thought about that extra question to ask or the lens that I come from. And that's how I find value is going through that and pre-writing my questions ahead of time.
So your weekends are pretty chock full if you get that
Well,
many board
yeah,
packages.
with five boards and Genstar, it's yeah, I mean it comes and goes, everyone's on the same quarterly cycle. So for others that are on want to get on a number of boards, your third month of every, starts
Yeah,
every third month is a lot of travel and a lot of
yeah.
reading. Yeah.
So go back to the surprises. How do you handle getting a board package and, being surprised by something that did not come up in your conversations or you didn't have a conversation period
Yeah.
with the management team or the CEO?
Yeah, so I'll classify these in two ways. First, good surprises are okay. If it's like,
You're
wow, we got a much
acceptable.
better quarter than we expected, that's okay. The surprises that may be on the negative or maybe need more voiceover, it
Mhm.
is it's important to figure out a good way to put those into the deck. But that's really the reason why the directors need it in advance, because those questions should be coming back to me as chair, if I'm the chair, or for me, if I'm a board member to the chair, to say, what is this about? Can you give me a little bit more information? Or just so you know, these are going to be my three questions. So please let the
Mhm.
team know that. And so that's where the no surprises things come in, just so that you're not, it's, I'm not a big believer in that the board members should have like a gotcha in there.
Yeah,
Like that,
yeah,
that is
exactly.
not conducive to a good board management relationship. It,
Hmm.
it and it is a relationship. It's not just a meeting. It's not just the board and the management, but there's a relationship there and there's a chemistry there. And honestly, every single board is different because of the people on it and the parts that they serve on it. That's the other thing I'd say as a board member. I lean in on the areas like tech or go to market or talent
Mhm.
where I've been in those shoes, I can help. Whereas financials, there's other people who are going to lean in on those, and I certainly need to be aware of them and be, I'm on the board. I need to have some governance there, but it's not going to be the focus area for what
Mhm.
I am really leaning in on. So I would make sure that, when you get on boards that you're thinking about what you're there for,
Uh-huh.
so that you're leaning in on those areas.
Yeah, and it's always good when you put a board together that you have people with different focus areas, right?
For sure.
You don't want all the bean counters there.
Yeah, for
With,
sure. And
yeah.
to know not just their focus area, but are they there for the right chapter of the business?
Mm.
So have they had the experience? Luckily for me, I've had founder experience, I've had operator experience, I've had really large company at Pershing experience, operations tech, and and that has rounded out my ability to be on these boards from to be able to offer a lens from various different chapters of those businesses.
Mm.
But it is important for the chair or sponsor, if it's a PE backed firm, and also the CEO to make sure they have the right board members in the room for the right
Mhm.
chapter that you're in.
Interesting. So speaking of, you talked about, growth and exits.
Hmm.
So let's talk about M&A. There's a lot of activity going. There has been a lot of activity over the past few years. And boards play a very significant role in that.
Yes.
I was reading a recent Deloitte survey on M&A activity trends for 2026.
Hmm.
And they reported that despite high optimism,
Hmm.
mixed macroeconomic signals suggest deal makers,
Hmm.
those people, coming to the table should exercise vigilance. That was the word they
Yeah,
used.
of course.
Um, for those firms seeking a deal, obviously, assets, depending on the company, assets under management, recurring revenue, those are all important valuation metrics.
That's right.
Can you discuss what other value creation levers boards look at when developing a valuation for an acquisition or sale?
Sure, of course. So first of all, it does vary by kind of the maturation of the company. So if the company is not uh, profitable yet, obviously EBITDA numbers are not, that doesn't come into play. You're
Right.
looking at burn rate, you're looking at the reputation that has been built, the pipeline, and no matter what, every story is great. People want to know your story, but people are not buying the story. They are buying the evidence behind the story that shows that you have consistency, as you said, of
Mhm.
growth, of net revenue retention, of even low client concentration. Those are big areas that firms like Genstar looks at, or even many of my, all of the other firms are looking to buy up other firms underneath them. So a lot of M&A comes to the board, like you said. But we're looking at that as well as the talent on the board, on the team already. So we're looking
Mhm.
for like, do they have the right talent around them to hit the next stages? If they don't, does the leadership have the ability to switch out for the right talent, or are they hanging on and very loyal to the people that were with them and unwilling to make those changes?
Mhm.
We also look at net promoter scores from clients to make sure that is there more there? Do you like working with this company? And also the NPS scores for the employees, the eNPS. So is it a strong culture? If we
Mhm.
buy this firm, is everyone going to leave because they're done with dealing with, whatever switches or who knows what? So also the a big factor in M&A is if it's being acquired, if your firm's getting acquired by a sponsor or a private equity company versus a strategic. So on
Mm,
the strategic side, they're looking for synergies. Where do they have either cross sell into their existing client base that can give them upside, or where do they have overlapping, HR, finance, or, other tech tools or vendor, consolidations where they can take money out of the business pretty
mm,
easily without affecting, the end clients, and allow for some cost savings inside that acquisition. So the private equity side, they're looking for what chapter are you in, and is this our chapter to take you to the
mhm,
next level? One of the examples that I have is DocuPace, actually. So they traded hands from FTV to Genstar last year.
mhm,
And one of the really interesting things is that and I was chairman, I was chairman then, and I'm still chairman. But they, about 12 to 18 months before we came to market, we started working with different private equity owners and or sponsors, as well as talking with strategics. And so David Knock was our CEO at the time. He did an excellent job of building those relationships. And so that when we came to market and when we started the process, that wasn't a new conversation. All of those firms had already started looking at our evolution of the company. They
mhm,
knew, they had the dialogue already going. They'd gotten to know David personally and, really started tracking the firm a little bit more closely, so that when we did come to market, it was an unbelievable interest that came in. I mean, I honestly, I can't get over how many firms bid on the business. And it was, has to be other things. The product has to be good. You have to have
mhm,
wind in your sails from a trends perspective. So certainly for DocuPace, they do back office streamlining. So everyone's looking to outsource that right now, and
mhm,
everyone's looking to find ways to create margin in their business, and that's a big way to do that. So that is, so the wind was in the sails, but I strongly believe it's because of that homework we did and those relationships we
mhm.
made earlier, 12 to 18 months earlier, to really build those relationships and get those firms acquainted enough so it wasn't just looking at your data room,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out, where you are financially. That's such a small part. I mean, it's a big part, but it's a small part of the overall picture of why you want to buy a company.
Yeah, it seems like they almost have different perspectives, the PE versus the strategic.
Yes.
Especially for, growing companies like mine. The PE is like you have to have, they've got these lines in the sand as far as recurring revenue, right?
Yes.
And they won't even look at you unless you've hit that mark.
Yeah.
Whereas the strategics, like you say, they're looking at the overall value to
Mhm.
their existing portfolio of
Right.
services and technology, their stack, and
That's
yeah.
exactly right. Exactly right. And if you can make the argument that, like, even better, that look, of your client base, we have X number of clients already. Think if we could really go in this, hand in
Mhm.
hand, how much more of that you'd get, more of a J curve of
Right.
growth. So that is a really important point, Cheryl.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to executives looking to either sell or acquire? Either prepare for an imminent, near-term acquisition opportunity, or one that they're hoping to transact in, let's say, 1 or 2 years. We've got a lot of advisors who are, aging out and they're looking for sales of their wealth management practices, right? So,
Absolutely. And I mean, it's on everything, your business. I mean,
mhm,
it extrapolates to all businesses, but If we're talking advisors first, I would say first know your numbers cold. It is really important to know your numbers. And I'm talking annual recurring revenue, your net revenue retention, your CAC, your LTV, your EBITDA if you're profitable, certainly where your growth numbers have been and where they are now. Look at that trajectory. Um, there's it's really complicated if you are trying to sell a lifestyle business that is dropping off.
Hmm.
It's not good for you. And so my best advice to advisors on that front is to have someone younger in the business that you're already soft handing off to,
Yeah.
as your own internal succession plan. Now,
Mhm.
the buying company may say, no, 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 we've got it and we've got professionals here, but they also may not. And so if you have younger generations behind you that are, starting to take the reins, that is
Mhm.
a really good sign. No one wants to buy a business that's on its last leg. And so that's important. The other thing I would say is that have your numbers kind of ready. I mentioned the data room, and for a RIA, they may not have a data room, but at least every month know you have your numbers down. Because
Mhm.
when that opportunity comes, you don't want to be in a situation where you're like, give me 90 days. Because honestly, the re- marketplace is moving so fast right now that opportunity is not going to be around in 90 days. And it also reflects badly on you as a founder or a CEO of the company that you need 90 days to get your numbers
Right.
straight. I mean, that it just is, it's not a good look. The other thing is that if you have a high concentration with like your top 20% of clients is super highly concentrated, like don't or not clients, let's say it's revenue, your top 20% revenue
Mhm.
is highly concentrated. Try to find ways to how you're diversifying that. Maybe it's not fully diversified today, but show a path to how it will be diversified and that there's not a lot of risk in that one or two clients that are going to leave or could leave, and leave someone else holding the bag. But know your top 10 clients, be able to rattle them off. Just know your business inside and out, quite frankly. That's really important. And I think that becomes levers in the conversation for how you can start to talk about a negotiation and why and how your business should be valuable to that buyer.
Mhm. Yeah, and we just have a few more minutes, so I want to encourage people to submit questions. You've got an excellent opportunity here with Lori to ask some questions of her. But going back to that valuation, we run into a lot of older advisors
Mhm.
who are, they say they're not bringing on new clients,
Mhm.
which is unfortunate because they may be, like 5 years away from retirement. And there's a lot they could do in that 5 years, making sure they have that transition plan in place with a G2 advisor, a transition partner, um, taking on strategic um, programs that could help them grow over
For
those five
sure.
years.
For sure.
But what we found is my partner sold his practice, and one of the things that really increased his valuation was the fact that he had a transition partner and he had repeatable processes and technologies
Yes.
that were scaled across the firm
Mhm.
so that he could walk out the door and not lose one client. I mean,
That's right.
because you're buying a business for,
Right.
for the assets, right? For the
That's
client.
right. Hmm.
And if they all head for the hills when that advisor leaves,
Yeah.
yeah, so
And tech is really helping that too, because a lot of if people are getting more and more comfortable going into a mobile app and kind of checking on where things are, or looking at their old financial plan, or doing what if scenarios with your tech. And so
mhm,
you become or your firm becomes visible to them when you're not even having to spend any time being visible to them. And so that also gives some, consistency and stability to the firm and to
Hmm.
the clients when there are switches going on with management, or
Hmm.
with the financial advisor themselves. But you're absolutely right. Consistency is the key. And, older advisors that have 5 years left should be utilizing technology to find ways to fill the gaps. So if they don't want to, that tech, like you said, the go to market, marketing, lead
Hmm.
generation type things, why should someone else invest in your business if you're not going to invest in your business?
Oh, I love that line. It's true. So Frank has a comment here. Thank you for the insights. What is the target organic growth rate sponsors are looking during RIA M&A in firms like Cerity as an example?
It really, thank you for the question, Frank. It varies, for sure.
Mhm.
Cerity Partners, if you're looking to sell your business into Cerity Partners, we would like, somewhere in the range of 8 to 15% growth. That is, or let's not cap it, at least 8% growth. And so that is, kind of where that would be the lowest I think that they would go. Uh, it's really interesting because the industry as a whole is coming out at 3% organic growth, and
Hmm.
I just don't really believe it. Most of the firms that I'm involved with, even Orion, who is, supporting a lot of advisors, they're growing much faster than that. And maybe it's a function of, or Orion helps them grow. Hopefully that is the case. And we believe that certainly we do help advisors grow. But there's not that many advisors I know of that are within my network of affiliated firms that are growing at a 3% rate.
Yeah.
So if you are, I mean, no judgment, but you got to pick it up.
Yeah, and I think that's the average, right? So really, I looked at this
Yeah.
early study last year, and they said it was 4%, but that's
Mhm.
the average. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And that goes to your point around technology. You have the right
Yeah.
technology in place, and you can scale and
Right.
grow much faster.
That's right.
Dave has a question for small ensemble looking to grow. What should we do or be thinking about in searching for older advisors looking to retire or other opportunities for that matter?
So that's a great question. I know at Cetera and Cerity Partners, but Cetera in particular for ensembles, they have built out a whole system to help support just this. Succession planning, build it, looking at the practice across all of your advisors and how where some are growing and maybe some are lagging, and
Mhm.
being able to metric that a little better. Cetera also has a succession planning, program that
Mhm.
is helps advisors actually sell shares of their business or helps allows Cetera to buy them out, at a home office level so that you can then the younger generation can take over and keep the value of your business growing by continuing the growth and not having the lag. You don't want a lag on your business. And I know it's difficult because they've been in the business forever. You're good friends. It's, I understand all the kind of reasons why. But if you look at from a board director perspective, you got to look at just the business side of things. And the business side of things is going to say, get rid of your laggers, find a way to keep them in a way that they could annuitize out of the
Mhm.
business, or join Cetera and they'll help you buy them out so that you can continue to keep higher growth rates.
Mhm. Great answer. Jack has a question. How should traditional product firms like fund companies look at service firms as potential acquisition candidates?
All right. So wait, what's the last part of that? Acquisition candidates, the
Mhm.
fund companies, how they,
Yeah, so how should traditional product firms
right?
like fund companies, look at service firms. Let's say you have a firm that has a service component like a TAMP
Sure.
as potential acquisition candidates.
Oh, got it, got it. Sorry, I was on a different. So, fund companies. This is a really interesting question. Um, there were some firms in the mix of even DocuPace, which to bid on DocuPace that were um, fund companies and product companies who wanted to buy this back office solution. And so I think that as you think about your business, you have to think about what actually is going to add value. At the end, obviously, but at the end of the day, how much lift does it give you at an exit? So maybe this fund company isn't even looking for an exit. They just want to make their business more attractive for advisors, and certainly ease of use
Mhm.
always attracts advisors. I mean, it just does. It has to, because we all want to be able to make things easier if the product is the same. So I would say look at ease of use if it actually helps and it's going to not get buried in the minutia of here's the product and the performance, but you actually can prove that it's easier to work with you. That's a value to you. And then on the second side, if you really want an exit, you have to make sure that that's going to be something you can cross sell into your other organizations or
Oh, great.
divisions of your
Yeah.
company.
So Frank says, longtime listener, first time caller. What area of wealth management do you think will be the most prominent in the next 3 to 5 years that is missing from the ecosystem today? It's a great
Huh.
question.
All right. He's given us some zingers today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, alts are making a really big incision, inclusion into the marketplace right now. It's not that they've been missing, but they are off on their own little portal. And so when you
Mhm.
ever you have to swivel chair over to do things, it creates more of a hurdle to get that into a portfolio. So I think alts are going to come at us really strong, and I think they'll be embedded in firms like Orion, InvestNet, AssetMark. I think everybody's moving that direction. The other thing that I really believe crypto is coming. I'm one of
Really?
those people that really think crypto is
Going out on
not
a
going
limb there,
away.
Lord.
I know I know, but I do think it's still going to be an asset that, if you think about the kids today, that's kind of their first entree into investing. And that I don't think it's going to leave anytime soon. A lot of them feel like they got up to speed on that. And I think that it's missing in our ecosystem today. Advisors have kind of been like, it's not coming. But it is. And I think it's really important that you can be a good advisor to them on that asset class. So that's my answer.
Yeah, and part of that might just be, the general newness and lack of
Right.
information and compliance concerns, maybe.
Well, there's
So,
regulatory, there's all kinds of things,
yeah.
but I think we have to be educated as an advisory industry to not lose that market entirely. Otherwise, they will go and do it themselves.
Yeah, and I think people are coming to advisors at a certain point in their life owning crypto
Right.
assets. So
For sure.
you
Yeah.
need you
Yeah. So
need
if you want to be a quarterback to all the
yeah.
assets, you need to know about it.
Okay, Dave has another question, hopefully not too specific. What can an executive VP of wealth management department in a community bank add value to the bank board of directors?
Hmm.
An interesting question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, every board of directors really wants transparency to the business.
Hmm.
So, if you are in a position to be able to, at least weigh in on the deck or give a presentation to the board of directors, I would say two things. One, be really honest about where you need help. And the second thing is to ask for help between meetings. This brings us right back to where I was saying before. The
Yeah.
board is not there just for the quarterly meeting. We are there to help throughout. So if there's coaching, if there's information of what kind of product should I be looking at, or how could I build this better? Can you be maybe the board could even be a sounding board or look at products that you're thinking about bringing to market to see if it would resonate with them. I do think that gets missed a lot of times. And I promise you, if you have good board members, they are just waiting to be asked for how they can do more for you. And I know I feel that way. I don't want to, cover and insert myself where I'm not needed, but I love it when they call and ask me questions. So I would just say that's really a value to use them as advisors, and it goes both ways. They feel appreciated and impactful, and then you hopefully get something out of that conversation.
So what's the protocol on that, Lori? I mean, you're a very open, curious, giving person. Some board members or some CEOs or presidents may take exception at executive vice president of wealth management within their bank contacting a board member without their knowledge. Does
That's
that?
such a good question. Okay. So, yeah, but first of all, this person's an EVP. So EVP is you're up there. And so
Mhm.
you are probably privy to the board and have a relationship there of some sort, whether it's just a dinner before or whatever. But with that said, when I first started on boards, I was calling in to like ask questions. I was inquisitive, like you said, and I would call the HR and be like, who are we looking for? Is there anyone that I can help you with? Or I remember this one time I called tech and I was asking a question about whether we utilize this company. And it was not even because I was like, it was really just I was interested to know if
Mhm.
this company was on our roster. And I got a call from the CEO the next day and said, I don't want you calling in to my team without my knowledge. So, right up the alley of what you just said. So, I have learned since then, thankfully, that I just always ask the CEO, do you mind if I call? Do you mind if I reach out to this person? And as long as, and then what happens is they don't want to scare, the person doesn't, did not want that individual to be scared that a board member is calling in
Right.
like what are we doing with this company? And so he wanted to just talk to them first and say, hey, Lori has some questions. You can be honest. She's here to help. But just kind of preamble it before I just call in randomly. So it is a great question. Some CERs are a little more insular, but
Mhm.
honestly, if CEOs are insular, there's a little bit of a yellow flag as to why that would be the case. You should not, as a CEO, care if a director wants to talk to an EVP on your team. An executive vice president is should be fair game, honestly. It's worrisome that something's being hidden. So
Yeah.
that's just my instinct. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. That's my instinct if I was being told I can't
Yeah, and that
contact
would be
them.
my first inclination that there's something wrong here if the
Mhm.
CEO is trying to create, a wall
Yeah,
between their board and their company
absolutely.
leaders,
Yeah,
especially. Yeah.
yeah.
So I know we're running short of time here, but last question, and I think this goes to the acquisition and the growth. Um, Antoinette says thoughts on fee-based financial planning as a core offering for advisors, by advisors. So this is probably the diversification of revenue sources.
Yeah, I mean, fee-based financial planning, is that what she
Hmm.
said?
Hmm.
So fee-based financial planning is to me critical to have. I know what she's probably saying we're doing financial planning as kind of as part of our general service versus
Hmm.
charging for it up front. I believe in charging for it. I think that it provide people value it more when they have to pay for it. And I think you kind of shake out who's serious and who's not serious. It could be your prerogative to waive it after they become a client of yours. But I do think that having, charging a fee for the financial planning side, it takes anything that takes your time. All you have as financial advisors is time. And
Mhm.
so if it is taking your time, some people would say, well, give them value before they become a client and then you build trust. That is one side of it. But you only have so much time in a day. So you need to get something back for that time invested. And either you look at it as a marketing play where I gave them something of value and now I hope they come back, or you are actually charging for it. So that's how I would look at it. It is, and that's honestly why I've done what I've done in my career is building technology that gives advisors more capacity and time is what I think is really valuable so that you can serve more clients. So
Well, that's a wonderful way to wrap up. And I just want to say thank you so much, Lori, for sharing your experience and expertise with our listeners. We so appreciate it.
thank
And thank
you.
you, everybody, for joining us today. And be on the lookout for our next Trailblazer webinar.
Thanks for
Thank
having me, Cheryl. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Lori. Have a great day, everyone.